Nathan, there's no way to sugarcoat it, so I'm just going to say it. The 2020 Chevy heavy-duty trucks are ugly.
No, you're wrong.
Well, I'm looking at the press picture right here,
Yes.
and it would look, there it is, and it actually looks better like that. That can't be something that is good in a truck when upside down the picture looks better than right side up.
I will admit that it's a unique design. Before we get into whether or not it's ugly, I know a lot of you guys, especially those of you who have opinions, have said certain interesting things about the design of it. However, bear with me for just a minute here. What Chevrolet has done with their heavy-duty design is they've taken what could have been a truck that looked just like their half-ton truck, and they made it look completely unique. And not many other automakers / truck makers do that. And that I give them credit for. And on top of that, not every single one of those is ugly. As a matter of fact, the work truck version, I think, looks pretty damn good.
So, they went with this unique design that's becoming kind of popular in a lot of different brands, and that is you've got the running lights on top, and then you've got the main headlights on the bottom, and then you've got this big bar between them that says Chevrolet. Not Chevy, Chevrolet. But that's fine, right? But this design of having the DLR on top and then the main light below it is something that, let's say, Jeep did in the Cherokee. And what happened to that?
Okay, two things happened. First of all, it sold like hotcakes, but it was polarizing, and a lot of people were like, oh, especially because there was a spy shot before it came out.
Yes.
And people, once again, were, oh. But it did sell extremely well, and in certain trims, it looked good.
But why did they change it to a more traditional headlight up top?
Because a lot of people who were screaming like terrified children near mice were like, I want a new front end that looks a little bit more like all the other ones, so it can look like all the other ones. And the bottom line is that Jeep sold this thing for quite a few years and sold big numbers, and when their numbers started dropping off, they revised the front end, boom, their sales started to move right back up. It was actually a very smart decision because they highlighted the one thing that was considered
I guess
an issue.
my argument there is that this design language is at best polarizing, at worst cost sales. So Jeep went to the more traditional, typical layout. And why Chevy is kind of following in those footsteps, I don't understand. I don't mind that they're following, that they're breaking the kind of the rule, but the basic Silverado, the 1500, right? Mm-hmm. When that was initially redesigned a few years ago, the idea was that it's kind of a fist into the wind, right?
Yeah.
This, has gone like 4 steps beyond that.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a fist into the wind. This is a brick into the wind. It's just so square. It just doesn't feel like it's big and bold and rugged and tough. It just feels like it's painfully overwrought and overstyled and ugly.
Okay, feel better?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my counterpoint to that. Riddle me this.
Yes.
Name one vehicle that looks anything like that in terms of truck. Zero. The minute you see that truck,
I think I drew that like in 3rd grade.
Come on.
That was my.
You didn't have pens back then. You had the quills and you had to dip them in ink, and you didn't have. No, look. The thing is that this truck doesn't look like any other heavy-duty truck, and it looks completely different than the half-ton version. Now, contrast that. Ram, who I admit I love their exterior designs. However, I've noted that the 1500 looks a lot like the heavy-duty, and that, to me, I really want more separation, personally. And I know that other people out there secretly do. Now, with that being said, there's another truck company, Ford, and they've managed to do that. They have their 1500, the 150, and then they have their heavy duty or super duty. They look completely different, and the super duty looks mean. It's very square, but it doesn't look like the Chevrolet. So I think that Chevrolet kind of looked at what Ford was doing and said, okay, we want to go one step further, make it look even more aggressive, and at the same time, build it so it doesn't look like our half-ton truck, and they've done exactly that.
You bring up a really good point. So if you recall, oh gosh, maybe 15, 20 years ago, Ram changed their truck design language to that of basically the semi-truck, right? So
even further back.
Yeah, what they did was they took the headlights and they moved them down low.
Yeah.
And then they put this massive grill up high. So it was, grill, headlights.
Yeah, and fenders too.
Yeah. And it made it look like a Freightliner or a Mack, right? They gave it that. And when they did that, their sales went up.
Oh yeah, they were truck of the year. They were. It was more than that though. They had a lot of other innovations. But yes, the design was a huge part of that.
Now, in their latest trucks, both their heavy duties and their full size truck, they've kind of gone away from that. So if you look at the current design, the lights are now kind of mounted midships in the center of the grille, as opposed to on the bottom, and it's become kind of much more, I think, elegant is probably the right word,
but they still have this. The overall look is very similar to what it was. I mean, you can say that they were inspired by the original new design way back 30 years ago almost. So, look. I know where you're going with this, and it is a much more elegant design, but it's also a design where if you look at the heavy duty and you look at the half ton and you put them near each other, they look a lot alike.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a design language that transcends the heavy duty and the full size truck. And of course, Ford has gone with that C bracket, right?
Yeah.
Which is the LED light signature that kind of does that. And that is something that is within the family of trucks as well, except for the Ranger, right? The rest of them have that C bracket.
Yeah, but it's a completely different front end design. It's a much flatter design. It's a much taller design. So when you put those next to each other, which we did, by the way, recently in the video we have on TFL Truck, you can see, oh my God, yeah, that's a half ton and that is a heavy duty without a doubt.
Now, of course, I'm talking about the current Super Duty, not the new one that's coming.
That's coming.
We don't know what that one looks like,
Nope.
so we're talking about the current one. But there is also this kind of elegance about it. It's very much like a Rubik's Cube in some way. There's like parts fit into parts. But when I go back to the Chevy, oh good gosh, dude, I don't see any kind of organic or inorganic structure. I just see this huge front end with parts that are almost stuck in geometrically, but in weird and random places. And there are memes out there where people have made fun of this, and it does look better in some trims than others.
It looks a lot better in the work truck.
In the work truck,
it looks fantastic.
In a monochromatic work truck, it looks really good. But I think in like the LT, it's okay. And let's face it, GM has had some, strikeouts. I'm thinking, of course, of the recent Camaro that was.
They had to redo it really quick.
And, we will see how this plays, but if we see a new design in the next year, I mean, let's face it, heavy-duty trucks get redone every 10 years, right?
About, yeah.
Yeah. So, if there is an emergency redo of this in a year, then I'm right and you're wrong. If there isn't, if this grows on people, and you're right, Nathan, I mean, there's a lot to be said for a design that you have to get used to, right? Because if you're pushing the boundaries, if your design is something that is different and new, then what tends to happen is when people first see it, they're like, oh my God, that's horrible. And then over time, as people get used to it, they're like, oh, it makes perfect sense. It's exactly where the truck should have gone. So, it's hard to do this ahead of time. It's a lot easier to do it a year or 2 years from now.
General Motors, Chevrolet could have played it safe.
Yes.
They could have. They could have basically taken what they currently have, which isn't that bad looking of a truck, and they could have squared it off a little bit more.
Fist in the wind.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about their current heavy-duty truck.
Yeah, not the 1500.
Right. And they could have just kind of hardened it a little bit and just sort of stuck with that, and I think that would have been the safe bet. However, according to Andre, there are reasons why that grille looks that way. There are reasons why it has a hood scoop, which is functional. There are reasons why this truck has that design. General Motors Chevrolet has made some flubs. They've misnamed vehicles, laser. They've misdesigned vehicles, half of their fleet, and they've kind of gone into a thing where they've overdone it in many ways. However, I will give them credit. They have the guts to make something that is unique, and that is why I kind of like what I'm seeing. In fact, I am going to go so far as to say that once again, Roman, you are wrong. Considering what they have done with what they were given, I think they've made a unique truck, although it is a little polarizing, that people will be able to identify immediately.
Of course, Polarizing is one of those journalism
I love that word.
Yeah,
so easy.
One of those words that we use when we mean ugly. So
no, it's not. It captures people on one side or the other, and it's definitely a fence in the middle where you have to sit on. So
well, guys, let us know in the comments below what you think. We will, of course, know the answer to this conundrum in about a year or two.
Probably about a year and a half, I would say.
Yeah, and we'd love to get your opinion. I know the internet, when it first came out, was on fire. And now that we're actually getting to drive the truck and seeing it in person, maybe you guys have changed your minds. Maybe it's growing on you. And if that is the case, then Nathan is right and I'm wrong. But I don't think so. As always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
Saying thanks for watching. Remember, check out TFLtruck.com for more news, views,
and real-world reviews.
See you guys next time. Ciao.